Hello everyone and welcome to this video. I am Ayush and in this video we are going to discuss about how can you take input from a user. So let's get started. If you haven't watched my last video which is about the print operation and string format method, so do watch it because the last video and this video are very important when you want to interact with a user. So let's take an example. So let's go a little bit back in my last video. So in my last video I have explained you how can you put a welcome message, and here I have also put the video which is related to string format method, but here you need to add the data which is name is equals to Sam. But if you want the user to give their input and then you want to print a welcome message, so how can you do? So this we are going to discuss in this video. So let's take an example. You have a variable which is name and I am putting name is equals to now you have to just write input. So input is just a function which you need to call. So I'm just writing input, open parentheses, and write whatever you want to like example I'm going to write enter your name, and once I run it, it is going to show me enter your name. So I'm going to enter the example Sam and run it. I'm going to get your name is Sam. So what I have done here, I have created a variable which is name and I have called the input function which is used when you want to take an input from the user, and just I have wrote enter your name. So in this string, as we have discussed last in video in the string, so here we have wrote that enter your name, which means that the user need to enter his name, his or her name. So now if I view what is name, what is inside name, and run it, I'm going to get Sam. So which what I have entered just now, which is Sam. But here you can say enter your name and just directly it has written Sam. We don't want this. So after name you can add a space. It's just on your creativity how can you add. Even you can add a double quote, or if you leave it a space and run it, and if you add this in say Sam, and I'm going to get enter your name Sam. So again if I run it, here you can get asterisk or star, whatever you call it. Here this means that this code is running and it's waiting for you to enter something here. So once I run it, and I'm going to get 4, which means it have successfully run. Example, you want to prompt a user to give his name, age and address, and you want to say, and you have to print it in a line. So how can you do it? So I'm going to create a variable which is name, and I'm going to put the value. I'm going to write input and open parentheses, and I'm going to write enter your name, and I'm going to put enter, and I'm going to create another variable which is age is equals to input, and I'm going to open again double quote parentheses and double quote, and I'm going to write enter your age, another which is address, and if I'm going to write on input, and I'm going to open again parentheses and enter your address. So now we are finally done. Now what we are going to do, in our last video, if you recap, we have discussed about the string format method. So you have to now write print open parentheses, and I'm going to write your name is whatever, and I'm going to put a comma, you are whatever years old and you live in whatever you want to write, and I'm going to just write dot format, and I'm going to open parentheses and write name, comma, age, comma, address. You have to write the same variable. You can't miss out, like I have written here capital A. So you have to write the same thing or else it will do error. So run it, enter your name. So same Sam, run it, your age, and let me give my age as 25, and address. So let me give as Canada, and run it. Your name is Sam, you're 25 years old and you live in Canada. So to do it a little bit fancy way, I'm going to add a double quotes and a space, same as here, and once again you run it, give as Sam 25, and I'm going to give again Canada. I'm going to get your name is Sam, you're 25 years old and you live in Canada. So let's take another example. You want to do addition. So you want to take a number from a user, again another number from a user, and you want to add it. So now we are going to do a little bit in the same way. I'm going to create another variable which is A, and I'm going to write input, open, and I'm going to write enter a number. I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it, I'm going to write it as B, and I'm going to write print, open parentheses, I'm going to enter the addition of whatever number and whatever number is whatever. So now I'm going to pass along dot format, and I'm going to open parentheses and write A, comma, B, but this addition is not there, so I'm going to create another variable which is C, and I'm going to write A plus B, and I'm going to write give a comma and add C in it. Run it, enter a number, example 2, another number 3, run it, we're going to get 23. So this is a surprise. The addition of 2 and 3 is 23, but it has just concatenated 2 and 3, which means that 3 is followed by 2. So this we don't want like 23, we want answer should be 5, but it's showing us 23. Why? So when we write type and open parentheses, and if I write A and run it, and this is another surprise, we are getting string, but we have entered an integer, and if you recap, integer means that it is a basic number, but here it's showing string. So, and we know already that when you want to concatenate two strings, take another string and just you can concatenate by adding a plus sign. But we don't want here. In this case, we have given a number, not a string. So how can you do this? So I'm going to create another variable which is a_int, and like how we wrote here input function, I'm going to write here int, which is another function for integer. As you know, if you write type of any number, it stands for integer, int stands for integer. And open a parentheses and write a. So what it has done here, it's a string. When you see here, it's a string, and it is now converted into a integer, and the value of the integer is stored into the new variable which is a_int. So when I copy this a_int, and instead of a, when I press it, so now I have already written this like this. So I'm going to add again. You have to not leave it like this because this b is already a string and this is integer, and you can't add any integer and string. So let me write b_int, which is another variable, and I'm going to write again, call the function which is int, and I'm going to open again parentheses and write b. And here c is equals to, here now c is equals to not a, c is equals to a underscore int plus a and b underscore int. And once you run it and give the number 2 and now 3, we are going to get 5. This is what we needed. And if you change instead of a into int, paste it and run it, we are going to get integer. So this is what we needed, not a string. So this was a one way you can do, or else just writing instead of like this, you can just write, just let me remove this part. So instead of this, you would have we can write, open another parentheses and write int, and again open a parentheses here and another parentheses to cover this. So this is another thing. While you just writing, you can just write integer, then input, and then you can write enter a number. So let me do this same. Copy this, paste it here, and instead of a, write it b, and instead of here writing a underscore int, just write a and run it. Give a number 2, run it, 3, and you're going to get the same thing. And here when you write only a and run it, we're going to get integer itself. I know this was a little bit tricky, but if you face any problem, you can comment me in the comment box related to any queries, so I'll be sure to reply. So that is all for today's video. So let's recap what we have discussed yet. So we have discussed about how can you take an input from a user, and how can you convert a string into a integer. And next here we have given some examples. And that is all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like this video, and if you want the same content, then subscribe to this channel, and I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.